Alrighty, so of course, as many of you know, they've already started doing the sort of like collaboration countdown check-in. If you logged in today, you already got the 3 Super Awakening coins, which I think is really nice. I expected it to be a part 1 ticket and a part 2 ticket, just because that's kind of like what they normally end up doing, but I guess because we just had one back-to-back, they're giving us some 5-star Super Enhance, or Super Awakening, or not Super Awakening, like equipment enhancement stones, which honestly I don't really find all that useful, but hey, maybe you're different. And then they are giving us a part 2 ticket, which is nice. But today I wanted to go over the actual characters from the collab, because honestly I've not looked at their like actual skills and what they actually do yet on paper. I've just seen gameplay of them, so I want to look at what they do and everything like that before we, you know, sort of get the collaboration this Tuesday. And so yeah, we're gonna go over each of the characters. If you don't know, we're on a Grand Cross database. I actually always have a link to that down in my description as just like a sort of like a helpful website for if you play the game. I definitely recommend going over to the JP and Korean side of the website, because it's just a lot more fleshed out, and I feel like they don't really update the global version of the website for some reason. I would assume with the fact that when the games are like supposed to be syncing up soon, that they'll probably just end up getting rid of the global side of the game and just making it one sort of website. I would imagine, maybe, but who knows? That's their business, not mine. So, first unit we're going to look at is obviously Beatrice, which is going to be really interesting. I actually, if you don't know, I've said it a couple of times already at this point, but I'm currently going through and watching ReZero at the moment, and Beatrice is probably my favorite character so far in the series. Rim is obviously a really close second, but I just like Beatrice as a character. I think she's really cool. So I'm a little disappointed that she's probably the weakest character out of like the 4 that you can get from the collab. But I guess it just is what it is. Somebody had to take the L on this one. So Caretaker of the Forbidden Library, Beatrice. Her passive or unique is increases the hero's HP related stats by 5% for each unknown ally in battle. Recover HP of unknown allies by 60% of the amount of the hero's the hero recovers when using skills. Okay, so I mean that's kind of good. Definitely like a supporty style unit. It doesn't seem like it's super like overly good though, so that's probably why it's not considered like super like useful to run her, I would imagine. Because from what I understand, people really just don't use Beatrice at all, which is a little unfortunate. But yeah, so let's look at her skills. We have a Mana Collection, inflicts damage equal to 180% of attack on one enemy and life steals 40% of the damage. So I guess that is really nice to kind of tie in with her passive. Normally I'm not honestly a big fan of these lifesteal skills. I have been a little bit more like, I've been looking into this a little bit more, I guess, lately, because of the whole like running Assault Mode Meliodas. I know like how useful Melascula's Inhale skill is, because you just like, it keeps you alive, but she honestly is like a really like vital part of the Assault Mode Meliodas team, I guess. Like her being alive and being able to use her passive is really, really helpful, whereas I don't really think it's like a crucial component. Like it's not as crucial to have Beatrice alive on your team, I wouldn't imagine, because if you don't know, all of these collab units are going to be their unknown race, so they all play really well off of each other because of Rom's passive. And I don't know, if you're not really interested, like if you ended up skipping on Merlin, the new Festival Merlin that came out, she's really like good to get boosted and stuff from these new collab units, and the collab units are pretty good on their own. But I don't know, honestly, I think that if you're not willing to really like summon a whole lot and get dupes of these characters, and you're not willing to buy the cosmetics and stuff for these characters, it's really not going to be something that you're going to be able to run like all day every day, because I feel like in the current meta with Escanor, like being really relevant, and Assault Mode Meliodas and stuff like that, like these two really big like hype characters that people were willing to sort of, you know, shell out some extra diamonds and try to summon on and get higher ultimate levels, and their teams are a lot more built up. Like obviously Escanor uses Goddess Liz and some other like universal supports and stuff like that that are probably already in people's sort of like realm of like, hey, I have high CC on these characters. I would imagine a lot of these collab units are not going to be able to get, they're not going to be able to beat over like an Escanor team's CC. So you going second is going to be pretty much a standard with a lot of this stuff for most players. I would imagine if you are super interested in this, you're probably going to be summoning on it quite a bit, so you might end up getting pretty decent CC. You might end up buying the cosmetics and stuff like that for the characters. This is definitely one of the collabs where I'm more interested in buying the cosmetics and stuff for the characters because I really like these characters. But I definitely don't think I'll end up buying any for Beatrice unless she just has one costume that I really, really like. Because honestly, you know, Beatrice doesn't seem like she's really all that great. The rest of them, Rom is like a universal support like that you put in the back line to help like the unknown sort of like race team. So she's really helpful and you may want to get, you know, sort of like cosmetics for her. Rim is like really heavy hitter, so she's, you know, somebody that you may want to get extra costumes so that way you can boost her stats, etc. And then Amelia is like the Whalers unit of the whole collab. Like you want her to be 6'6" because she has a secret technique ultimate. So yeah, I don't know, this is probably going to be one that makes Netmarble a lot of money on the global server. Like I would imagine like they're about to pull some like real bank off this one. Anyway, sorry to derail that whole thing. Second skill, I wonder if I should let you know. Inflicts despair damage equal to 130% of attack on all enemies. So it's an AoE. Despair is recovers X%, 15% of diminished HP upon successful critical strike. So if I'm not mistaken, Levi has a card just like this. I'm not too big on these cards. It seems like she more or less just has some sort of like lifesteal sort of like capabilities to really like heal up your team. She's more of like a healer support character, so I don't think you're going to be doing like big damage with her as far as I can tell, because you have to get all the way to level 3 to do 325%, and then she does have a 400% attack on this single target, but I don't know, it just doesn't really, I don't think you would be relying on her for damage. It might be nice if like you're in a pinch and maybe you just pull the extra cards for her or whatever, and you can merge them, or just you end up getting lucky with merges or whatever. Maybe that's kind of nice, but I don't think you're going to be relying on her for that. Her ultimate also has lifesteal, so inflicts damage equal to 350% of attack on all enemies, and lifesteals 30% of the damage. So that's 350% base, all the way up to 520% or 525%. So honestly, I think she's probably going to be the, you know, obviously I think in testing and everything like that, she's definitely come out to be the least useful out of the whole thing. But I like Beatrice. I think she's really cool. It's unfortunate that she got shafted a little bit, but it is what it is, honestly. Like I think out of the lineup, she probably is the least like hype out of the lineup because the other characters are so like relevant in the show and so interesting, I guess. Next up we have Rom, and the only reason I call it Rom is because that's how they say it in the dub for the show. So I don't know, you know, people call it Ram. They say Rom, so I'm just gonna call it Rom. That just seems like the official dub name, so that's what I'm gonna go with. Amazing Elder Sister is the passive or unique. Increases unknown allies' basic stats by 20%. So this is the one that a lot of people are going to be using her for. She's in the back line. She kind of just like, you know, sits in there and boosts your stats and helps your team out. Very, very helpful. Her skills are Fulla. If I'm not mistaken, I think that they say that in the show, like she says Fulla when she attacks and stuff. So inflicts damage equal to 200% of attack on one enemy, so it's a single target. If I'm not mistaken, this is just like Liz's single target attack, Goddess Liz, where it's going to stun for 1 turn and then stun for 2 turns at level 2 and 3 respectively. So pretty decent, honestly. Like, I mean, pretty nice support sort of like character. And then Rupture is actually on her other skill, and it's an AoE, so that's really interesting too. That could be really helpful as well, because obviously there's a lot of, you know, Goddess Liz's that's going to help you beat down through the shields on Goddess Liz a lot faster, which obviously she's like a backslot unit, so this isn't something that you're really going to be using a whole lot. Definitely within the first couple of turns, like once you lose a character, she'll kind of come out. Kind of interesting though. I really don't see a whole lot of characters with Rupture. Like the last unit that I can even think of that has a Rupture skill is, I'm pretty sure Assault Mode has one, and then maybe Ludo. Ludo's AoE definitely has Rupture, but I don't remember any other like relevant units with Rupture coming out between those two. So it's been a while. Ultimate skill is inflicts damage equal to 300% of attack on all enemies, decreases attack related stats by 30% for 3 turns. So that's actually pretty good. AoE, and then they get a 30% attack related stats reduction. And it's not just attack, it's attack related stats. So pierce rate, you know, all of the good stuff there. That's pretty interesting. Obviously, like, because she's a backslot unit, you're not going to be getting her ult quite as fast, but I mean, you know, in a pinch, or maybe like, you know, the cards fall in the right way, you end up getting her ultimate. I think that's pretty helpful. It's an AoE. It doesn't seem like it's going to do like crazy damage, but it's definitely going to help. Like, it's a supporty sort of ulti that still does a little bit of damage. So I think that one's pretty nice. Obviously, the passive is the big kicker there. That's pretty much the reason why you're getting her, using her anyway, which she is the free unit for the collab. So even if you're not going to be summoning or not going really hard, you don't have to worry about getting a copy of Rom, because you'll already get her for free from doing the little missions and everything like that from the collab. So that's really nice. Moving on, we have Rim. I think this is one of the ones that everybody is sort of like the most excited about. Amelia is like the Whalers unit, which I think a lot of people are either going to say, hey, I'm not going to go for that crazy high ultimate level, and just say, you know, whatever. So this is sort of like the unit that you can get just 1/6, like do one rotation, get this unit, and then you should be good to go if you don't really care about the other two. So I think this is going to be the one that everybody's probably going to be running a lot. So here we go. Survivor of the Oni clan. When the hero uses skills or moves skills to rank up a skill and gain ultimate move gauge orb. This is already really weirdly worded. When the hero uses skill or moves skills to rank up a skill and gain ultimate move gauge orb, increases attack-related stats by 5% for 3 turns, up to 5 times. If there is 5 or more ultimate move gauge orbs, recovers 30% of max HP. Okay, so that's really interesting. So, if there are 5 or more ultimate move gauge orbs, so that's 5 is the maximum. So, once you have a full ulti, like an ultimate gauge, and you're ready to pull your ultimate, she's going to recover 30% of her max HP, which is really good. Her main card is an Amplify that's not only going to play off of the fact that she gets buffs from moving her cards around and such, but she also gets a 5% attack-related stats increase for each like skill or move that she does. So that's really good. Up to 5 times. They last for 3 turns each, so you can literally just move cards around for the first 2 turns, basically, if you can survive that long. And then her Amplify is going to be really, really helpful after that. So very cool, honestly. She's definitely a really interesting character. Big damage. Like, there's going to be huge damage coming out of this character. So Crushing Hit. Inflicts Amplify damage equal to 180% of attack on one enemy. Amplify is 30% per active buff on the unit. So damage dealt is increased by 30% per buff. So if she can get up to 5 extra buffs, or even if you run, you know, some other unit that can put buffs on, you're going to be in a really good spot. You're going to be able to do a lot of damage. Like, say you get a level 3 invasion arrow from Gother, you put that on, that's 3 buffs on her, and then she can already, with her passive, get 5 extra buffs. Obviously, the level 3 invasion arrow thing is kind of like rare, but yeah, more buffs the better. 5 buffs pretty much seems to be like the standard there. Like, that would be like what you would get on a normal team, I feel like. So yeah, That's pretty big damage, and it scales from 180 to 270 to all the way up to 450%. So this is like a derriere card. Like, this is like a really heavy hitting, like, hey, I've built up stacks, let's do this sort of like big hitting card. I think that's really cool. I always really like amplify cards, like units that sort of like build buffs and stuff like that. It's a fun time. Obviously, it's really disappointing when you lose your buffs or whatever, like especially with derriere. But these kind of cards are really cool. I like these a lot. Boisterous Dance of the Oni is inflicts damage equal to 130% of attack on all enemies, decreases ultimate move damage by 20% for 1 turn. So you would kind of throw this out, I guess, right before they're about to ult. Escanor is obviously going to be a really rough unit with this. She is red, so she's going to take extra damage from Escanor. And if Escanor can get his ultimate on his turn 3 or just whenever his passive peaks, he's going to get debuff immunity. So this really isn't going to hurt him too much, I feel like. But for everybody else, this is definitely going to be a huge threat. Does on level 2 inflicts damage equal to 195% of attack on all enemies, decreases ultimate move damage by 30%, and restricts ultimate move effects for 1 turn. So that's actually really fun. I think that's going to help out a lot. If I'm not mistaken, there's definitely showcases out there, and I remember seeing moves where they would use this right before Liz is about to ult, and then like Liz wouldn't heal and the shield wouldn't come up or anything like that, like the reflect or anything. It just, I think that, well, they may heal. I can't remember if she actually gets the heal off, but yeah, it definitely like helps out a lot. Like the ultimate move effect getting negated for a turn is really, really good. And then it goes up to 2 turns, and then its ultimate move is basically cut in half on damage. So that's really good. I think that's really, really fun. She actually has a Shatter ultimate, and it's an AoE as well. So inflicts shatter damage equal to 420% of attack on all enemies. 420% is the base modifier for that. It goes all the way up to 630%. And then shatter, if you don't know, is ignores resistance. Reminds me a lot of blue, like fairy skinny king, blue king, red king, and green king all have that sort of shatter ultimate, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a really big one, and it's an AoE too, so she's gonna be hitting so hard. Like, I know that there's already tons of like videos of her doing like insane damage, but that's awesome. She's a really interesting character. This is probably gonna be the one, like I said, that everybody's gonna try to go for, just based on the fact that you don't really need dupes on her or anything like that. Like, just 1/6, you should be able to end up doing really big like moves with her, so that'll be really fun. Lastly, we have Amelia. Like I said, this is the one where a lot of people are going to be spending a lot of money trying to get her like maxed out, good to go, so that way they can sort of rush ult and try to end it fast. Which she's got a little bit more sort of like support because she can freeze than Meliodas has. So I think this is a really interesting unit as well. A lot of people really think she's broken, and I could definitely see that. When the hero receives attacks from the same enemy 2 or more times during the enemy's turn, cleanse all debuffs from allies and freezes the enemy for 2 turns. So this is crazy. So if you use 2 attacks with Escanor in the same turn, he's going to get frozen unless he has debuff immunity. So basically you just have to spread out your attacks. Like, that's pretty crazy in and itself, and it freezes them for 2 turns. That's crazy good. Like, that's so good. Puck Please is her first skill. It's a debuff skill. Freezes the enemy for 1 turn. On level 2, inflicts damage equal to 220% of attack on 1 enemy and freezes for 1 turn. When the freeze is removed by using skills, ultimate moves, or after turns have passed, inflicts damage equal to 20% of the remaining HP. So that is really crazy. Honestly, like that's pretty crazy. If removed by using skills, ultimate moves, or if it just expires. So I guess the only way you're not going to be able to like get that to proc is maybe if you attack, but maybe that still considers it skills or ultimate moves. I'm not really sure exactly how that works. I think it might. I think if you attack while they're frozen, I think it's gonna like nullify it. But that's really crazy, and then it does 40% of remaining HP at level 3, so that's really crazy too. And it freezes for 2 turns up there, so that's cool. Alhuma is inflicts damage equal to 120% of attack on all enemies, depletes the ultimate move gauge orb at the end of the enemy's turn for 1 turn. So this is like a dissolve skill, sort of like Green Gother has, and it looks like it is going to deplete more the higher it goes, but it actually stops at 2, and then it lasts for 2 turns on level 3. So that's, they have it rank 2 and then rank 2 for some reason, but yeah, that one seems like it's pretty good too. Very, like, she's a little bit more supporty. Like, I don't think her actual skills are going to be doing a whole lot of damage. Like, it's basically just her ultimate, but you can see inflicts secret technique damage equal to 300% of attack on all enemies and deals damage with attribute advantage regardless of attribute. So that is nuts. She is a blue unit, so even if she's going against like a Merlin or an Assault Mode Meliodas, she's still going to get attribute advantage because of the way that this ultimate works. And it starts at 300, goes all the way up to 450, and then starts at 20% extra, right? Secret technique modifier, 8%. Okay, it goes up by 8%. So it starts at 20% extra damage per card in hand, goes all the way up to 60%, so it triples. So that's really, really crazy. This is the reason why you want to have extra dupes on her. You know, that's the reason why people are going to be spending big bucks trying to get this girl maxed out. So yeah, obviously they're all collab units, so it's going to be a really interesting time. Collab units, from our experience so far with the game, they don't come back yet. They have stated, even with the Attack on Titan one, they stated that the like collaboration may come back in the future, but there have not been any returning collaborations as of yet in the game. So this is kind of like one of those things where you might want to go ahead and grab it if you want it at all, or you think it might be useful in the future. That's basically the reason why I go for at least 1/6 on most of the characters that come out to the game, unless I'm just like, hey, I'll be able to get this unit in the future, or whatever the case may be. But these collab units are super limited. So, you know, if you're interested in them at all, make sure to try to grab them while you can. Obviously, the big kicker is the company that makes this game is very greedy, and you are going to have to spend real money on the costumes for the characters, which is very unfortunate because the costumes really do make a difference in this game. And yeah, so it's kind of a big thing here. This is a big collab. I think this is the one that a lot of people are really excited for. I've seen a lot of the content and stuff from it on the JP and Korean versions of the game. It seems really, really fun. I like the way that they're doing the raids, and you know, the content in general for this one is going to be super cool, along with the characters being really fun and interesting. And if you're a fan of the show that they come from, it's really neat. So I'm going to be super excited to summon for these characters. Hopefully I don't get screwed over, but it wouldn't surprise me because it is what it is. So that's pretty much it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know that a lot of you probably already know what the characters do, but I just wanted to, I didn't really know what they all did. So I think, you know, it was just sort of like a learning experience for me. And if you guys wanted to come along for the ride, hey, there you go. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe for more content in the future, and I will see you guys in the next video.